So now let's welcome Professor Du Weiming, Director of the Institute for Advanced Humanistic Studies at Pekin University, to deliver a speech at the opening of the conference. So now let's welcome Professor Du Weiming.
Good morning, or welcome all of you to come to this, I think, rather unusual meeting. And Senaru Hoja, Professor Avani, distinguished professors, and ladies and gentlemen, especially the delegation from Turkey. It is our great honor to have such a chance to sponsor a meeting which actually took us quite some time. In fact, it came into being in a very short period of time. Therefore, I'm sure there are all kinds of adjustments that hopefully you will be able to accommodate, and thank you for your cooperation. And my welcome, simply a very short statement, and certainly we'll have a chance to listen to Senaru Hoja's also short statement before we open the whole conference with the first session chaired by Professor Avani. And I simply want to note that since the time is so short and we are very mindful of the allocated time for the convenience of everyone, we do have simultaneous translation. That's basically from Turkish to English, and certainly there's someone who's able to do it from Turkish to Chinese. In the 21st century, dialogue features very prominently in all spheres of interest on the world stage. The fear for clash of civilizations may have been a motivating force for underscoring the importance of dialogue. But the desire to overcome perceived and real conflict is often frustrated by realpolitik. The real politics and economics overwhelm the possibility of dialogue. In that sense, dialogue remains an aspiration. It's not an unrealizable ideal. The frequency of its appearance in the official document. Now we see the word dialogue all over the world, all the time. This clearly indicates that it is painfully difficult to achieve real dialogue. For example, in recent years, there have been quite a few so-called dialogues, Sino-American dialogues on the environment, on trade, on currency, on strategic partnership, and of course on defense even. In fact, these are not dialogues. They are conflict resolutions, they are arguments, they are confrontations, and of course bargains, and even, of course, negotiation, even criticism. Cultural globalization, unlike globalization in science, technology, finance, trade, and other forms of modernization, but somehow like migration, like disease, drug, and violence, enhances regionalization and nationalization, and even localization. So globalization, regionalization, nationalization, and localization occur at the same time. It is in this sense that all the primordial ties, when I use the word primordial ties, I mean those forces that shape a concrete human beings, concrete humanity, notably ethnicity, different races, gender, age, place of birth, class, language, and certainly religion, assume very profound significance in defining the texture of the world order in our age. Surely all forms of the so-called master narrative in defining political, social, cultural, and national identities have undergone very profound transformation. In a world, we call it museum without walls. There is a great deal of fluidity. Everything flows, it changes, it transforms. And in cognitive appreciation, and also in affective, emotional attachment, various kinds of emotional charged symbols, symbols of religions, of nations, of ethnicity, and so forth, they are sacred, and often they cause conflict and tension. So the idea of our nation, our culture, our religion, our specific ethnic identity, all are very, very important or sacred in the modern world with a great deal of transformation. Yet, despite the formulation of a variety of mixtures, various kinds of mixtures of hybridity or hybridism, for example, in art, in music, in literature, entertainment, and the quest for authentic, and the quest for authenticity, despite all these differences, continues. In the complex modern society, cultural and religious diversity is unavoidable. Indeed, ought to be fully recognized as a defining characteristic of the everyday experience of the life world today. A civilization charged by dialogue is, as I pointed out, an aspiration, a promise. And I also believe, sometimes against overwhelming odds, it's a practical project. And it is in this sense that we're very, very grateful to the Turkish Women's Association in the collaboration with us in trying to introduce Islam and some essential features of Islam, especially the wisdom of the Sufi tradition, to China, but I call it cultural China, not just People's Republic of China, but Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, the Chinese diasporas all over the world, and also I include those who are connected neither by birth or by marriage with China, but yet are interested in China in a long-term perspective, like all of you are also this culture China. And with the collaboration of the Women's Association, and this conference is also being organized by our Institute for Advanced Humanistic Studies at Pekin University. We want to underscore the importance of inter-civilizational dialogue, cross-civilizational dialogue, and especially now dialogue between Chinese and Muslim peoples. And later, Professor Hua will tell you that the Confucian Islamic or the Islamic Confucian dialogue in China has been going on for decades, and we'll be working on that. And with the introduction of Sufism, this has also been going on for decades. And our understanding of Islam will become deepened and broadened. And also, in my institute, in addition to the importance of dialogue, I want to underscore the importance of human spirituality. And in fact, we believe that in China, as well as in cultural China, and a sense of awe, sense of reverence, a sense of respect, not only for ourselves, for our own culture, but for other people, for other culture, even for animals, for plants, for trees, mountains, in other words, for nature as a whole, is extremely critical. Let me end with a simple notion that we believe that the development of the human flourishing, not human survival alone, human flourishing, involves the realization of the self, the person. But the self, not simply the body, but the body, the heart and mind, the soul and the spirit of the self. And this self as a center of relationships, rather than an isolated individual, is constantly and in a deep sense connected with other human beings, other selves. And the human community has evolved and all created is also intimately connected with a much larger world. So we want to go beyond not only individualism in a very narrow sense, egoism, or parochialism, or narrow nationalism. We also want to go beyond anthropocentrism, simply consider the human as the most important. And this is something I think in China today, we believe that the idea of reverence for something beyond, reverence for the world, reverence for nature, reverence for everything is critical. This reminds me of a beautiful statement by a 17th century scholar, Zhang Zai, who says that heaven is my father and earth is my mother. And even I, as a small creature in the whole universe, I have a sense of intimacy. I have a niche. Everything in the world is part of my body. And the cosmos, the direction of the cosmos, is rooted in my own nature as a human being. So all people, men and women, all people are my brothers and sisters. And all things are my companions. So nature is not simply a collection of objects out there, but is also part of a communion of subjects. And I'm very, very pleased that this time we have scholars from Turkey, from Iran, from the United States, from Canada, and from Malaysia, and of course from China, and gathered here. And we hope that by addressing topics of spiritual growth, of moral perfection, of sacred texts, and the challenge of globalization and modernization, we will open up new frontiers for further research and for further study. Again, I think I would like to express particular thanks to the Women's Turkish Foundation. And also, I'd like to congratulate the recently established Kerim Education, Culture, and Health Foundation. And today we also have people who are interested in international, global NGOs focusing on not just culture, but health and the well-being of the people in general. So in this particular connection, there is definitely a partnership and also the possibility of collaborative research. Thank you very much.